Young man, what did you say your name was?
Emeka, sir. I'm just a bricklayer.
No, you are the man I've been searching for.
My dear friend, come closer to the fire tonight because this story is one that will humble you. It is a story about a man everyone in his village looked down on. A man whose hands were always covered in cement dust, whose clothes were always torn at the elbows, whose name was often followed by laughter whenever it was mentioned. But, my dear listener, before this story ends, that same man's name would be spoken with such respect that some of the very people who once mocked him would find themselves standing outside his gate, hat in hand, hoping just to be remembered. Stay with me till the end because what this man discovered about himself will remind you that the wealth some of us are destined for does not always arrive on time. Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it tests you first. His name was Emeka. In the small town of Umuaya, everybody knew Emeka, the bricklayer. He was 39 years old, built strong from years of carrying blocks and mixing cement under a punishing sun, but poor, so poor that his poverty had become something of a local joke. Emeka, when will you build your own house first before building for other people? The market women would tease, laughing behind their wrappers as he passed with his wheelbarrow. Emeka, that man has laid bricks for half this town, yet he still owes rent. The men at the palm wine joint would say, shaking their heads as they gulped their drinks. He heard it all. Every joke, every mocking laugh, every whispered comment that followed him like a shadow he could never outrun. But Emeka never answered back. He simply lowered his head, picked up his tools, and went to the next job because a man with a family to feed does not have the luxury of pride. You see, Emeka was raising three children alone. His wife had died giving birth to their last child, a baby girl named Adayeze, 4 years earlier. Since then, Emeka had been both father and mother, both provider and comforter, waking before the sun to mix cement for other men's mansions, while his own family lived in a two-room face me, I face you apartment with a roof that leaked every rainy season. Anyone, honestly. He had built the chief's guest house. He was a bricklayer of exceptional skill, the best in that entire local government, if you asked. He had built the new health center. He had built three churches and countless family homes for people who now lived comfortably while he still could not afford to fix his own leaking roof. There is a particular kind of pain, my dear listener, in building beautiful homes for other people while returning every night to a house that is falling apart around you. Emeka carried that pain quietly, the way strong men are taught to carry everything silently and alone. One rainy Thursday evening, everything changed. Emeka was walking home from a long day's work, his tools slung over his shoulder, his shirt soaked with both sweat and rain, when he saw a car stuck in the mud at the edge of the untarred road leading into town. A sleek black SUV, the kind that never came to Umuaya, was sunk halfway into the mud, its wheels spinning uselessly, splattering dirt in every direction. Inside sat an elderly man, clearly frustrated, banging his steering wheel as his driver stood outside in the rain, trying uselessly to push the vehicle alone. Emeka did not hesitate. He dropped his tools, rolled up his sleeves, and without a word, began helping. He found flat stones. He directed the driver on which way to steer. He put his shoulder against that heavy vehicle and pushed with every bit of strength his tired body had left. Until finally, with a great splash of mud, the car broke free. The elderly man rolled down his window, extended a soft, well manicured hand, and said, "Thank you, young man. What is your name?" "Emeka, sir." "And what do you do, Emeka?" "I am a bricklayer, sir." The old man studied him for a long moment, studied his calloused hands, his tired eyes, the quiet dignity in the way he stood, even though he was drenched in rain and mud. "A bricklayer," the old man repeated softly, almost to himself. "Tell me, Emeka, do you know the name Chief Namdi Okonjo?" Emeka's heart nearly stopped. Everyone in that region knew that name. Chief Namdi Okonjo was one of the wealthiest men in the entire state, a construction mogul whose company had built shopping malls, hotels, and estates across three regions. His name was spoken with the kind of awe reserved for royalty. "Yes, sir," Emeka stammered. "Everybody knows that name." The old man smiled a tired, knowing smile. I am his elder brother, he said, and I have been trying for 2 years now to find a man worthy of finishing a very important project my brother left behind before he passed away last year. Everyone I have hired so far has either stolen from the project, done shoddy work, or simply disappeared with the money. Tell me, young man, would you be willing to see something with me tomorrow? My dear listener, if you had been in Emeka's shoes that night, would you have believed this stranger? Or would you have assumed it was one of those scam stories you hear about, the ones where poor men are lured with promises only to be disappointed, or worse? Emeka wrestled with the same doubt all night. He barely slept. He kept turning the old man's words over in his mind, unsure if fate was finally smiling on him or if he was simply a fool about to be humiliated one more time. But the next morning, curiosity and perhaps something deeper, something like hope refusing to die, completely pulled him toward the address the old man had given him. And what Emeka found there took his breath away. Behind a rusted forgotten gate on the outskirts of town stood the skeleton of what was clearly meant to be something enormous. Steel beams rising 3 stories high, foundations wide enough for a shopping complex, half finished walls stretching across land larger than Emeka had ever personally seen. This, the old man said, walking slowly beside him, was my brother's final dream. A shopping and business complex meant to bring jobs and opportunity to this entire region. He poured almost everything he had into it before his health failed him. Since he passed, the project has sat here untouched because nobody in his family knows how to finish it, and every contractor we hired either overcharged us or abandoned the work. He turned to Emeka, his eyes suddenly sharp, assessing. I watched you last night, young man. I watched how you helped a stranger without asking what you would gain from it. I watched the quality of your hands, how you handled even simple stones with the instinct of someone who understands um structure, weight, and balance. That is rare. That is not something taught in a day. He paused. I want to give you a chance, not charity, a real chance. Come and inspect this project properly if you believe you can complete it, and complete it honestly. I will fund it fully and you will be paid as the lead contractor, everything done right this time. My dear listener, imagine standing in Emeka's worn out work boots in that very moment. For 9 years, this man had laid foundations for other people's dreams while his own family struggled in a leaking 2 room apartment. For 9 years, he had swallowed insults from people who could not see past his torn clothes to the brilliance in his hands. And now, in a single rainy encounter on a muddy road, a door had cracked open, a door leading somewhere he had never even dared to dream of. Emeka spent 3 full days inspecting every inch of that abandoned project. He found errors the previous contractors had hidden. He found where corners had been cut, where cheap materials had been secretly used to steal money meant for quality steel and cement. He wrote everything down honestly, even the parts that made him nervous to report. When he presented his findings to the old man who it turned out was named Chief Emmanuel Okonjo, the old man nodded slowly, impressed not by flattery but by honesty. You could have lied to make yourself look better, Chief Emmanuel said. You could have hidden these errors and simply continued the work quietly. But you told me the truth, even the parts that were not flattering to the men before you. That Emeka is exactly the kind of man I need. And just like that, Emeka, the mocked bricklayer, became Emeka, the lead contractor of one of the largest commercial projects that region had ever seen. Word spread through Umuahia like wildfire. The same market women who once teased him now greeted him with wide, uncertain smiles. The same men at the palm wine joint who mocked his poverty now called him Oga Emeka, with strange new respect trembling underneath their voices. People who had walked past him without a glance for years suddenly remembered they were old friends and distant relatives. Emeka, to his enormous credit, did not let this sudden shift turn him bitter or arrogant. He remained the same quiet, humble man, except now his children slept under a roof that did not leak. His daughter Adais had new shoes for school, and for the first time since his wife's passing, Emeka felt the weight on his shoulders begin slowly to lift. The project took 18 months to complete. When the ribbon was finally cut on that gleaming new business complex, now called Adaize Plaza, named lovingly after his late wife's memory through their daughter investors, government officials, and wealthy businessmen from across the state gathered for the grand opening. Emeka stood at the podium that day in a suit far finer than anything he had ever imagined owning, and he said something that made grown men in that audience wipe their eyes. For 9 years, I built houses for other men while my own family suffered in silence. People mocked me. People laughed at my torn shirts and my empty pockets. But nobody, not one person, ever asked me what I was capable of. They only saw what I did not have. Today, I want every young man listening who is currently being laughed at, currently being underestimated, currently building someone else's dream while yours feels impossible. I want you to remember this: mockery is not a measurement of your worth. It is simply proof that people cannot yet see what you are carrying inside you. My dear listener, Emeka today owns his own construction company. He employs over 200 workers across 3 states, many of them young men just like he once was, skilled, hungry, but overlooked. He makes it a personal mission to seek out talented but poor workers in small villages, the same way Chief Emmanuel once found him on a muddy road, and he gives them the same chance he was given. He never forgot where he came from. His old 2 room apartment still stands. Though it is no longer occupied, he kept it standing on purpose, right at the edge of his new, much larger family home, as a quiet reminder to his children of the ground their family rose from. So, let me ask you something before you go, my dear listener, because I always like to leave you with a question worth carrying. How many people around you right now are being underestimated? How many hardworking hands are being mocked instead of noticed? And more importantly, if you are the one being laughed at today, the one whose dreams seem impossibly far away, will you let that mockery convince you to stop building? Or will you keep laying your bricks quietly, patiently, with excellence, trusting that the right eyes are still coming to find you? Tell me in the comments below what part of Emika's story touched you the most. I read every single one of them, and I love hearing which parts of these stories find their way into your own life. And if this story reminded you that greatness often wears humble clothing, do me a favor, my dear friend. Like this video, subscribe to Jam Jam Tales, and share it with someone who needs the reminder tonight that their season is coming, even if right now all anyone can see is the mud on their hands. Until next time, my dear friend. Keep building. Your destiny is watching.